Hello everyone. Today we're going to do a picture in the style of L.S. Lowry, and we're going to do one of his favourite subjects, but a subject he would never have seen. He was a Manchester City fan, Lowry, and of course he would go to the old stadium. So we're going to do the Etihad Stadium in the style of Lowry today. Lowry was a strange chap. He had a very limited palette. He did use other colours other than art historians say, but we're going to stick with the basics. And those were yellow ochre, vermilion. I don't use Prussian blue. I use basic primary blue, very similar, not quite as green. But I'm using a primary blue instead of Prussian. Ivory black, not lamp black. And total lies told about Lowry. He did use zinc white most of the time, but he also used titanium white. He mixed the two together. We're going to sketch the stadium quickly onto here in Lowry's type of style. He liked to use perspective, but he used it in a rather old-fashioned, static way. And we'll just bring in little bits of colour and have Lowry type people going to the match. I've got a charcoal pencil. Just looking at my picture here that I've got, this is a photograph obviously of the stadium and the bridge over the ship canal. So the bridge is quite important. That is a centre spot, and the stadium's quite low down. Okay, so we've got the bridge coming across. Too big. Oh yeah, liking that. Then we have a strange thing on the dockside going across here. A striped edge. Stadium is slightly off centre to the bridge and it leans back here. But Lowry was a Manchester man. He's brought up in the area of Salford. Actually went to art school and trained under a guy who was an impressionist. So he learned about impressionism, but didn't really practice it. He had his own style entirely, and the style was based on northern people and their everyday life. So he liked to draw people going to work, coming from work, going to the match. Now we've got some difficult bits here. No, that's over there, that's that further there. Background. I'm not going to worry about the people at the moment. Got a dark building here. I'm not going to do a lot of sketching, just basic stuff. There's some cars and small buildings here. The stadium glass. So it breaks off. Lowry liked to simplify. He liked to simplify things, but he liked to get the feeling of what was happening. And for him, it was, what was happening was very working class. It was people on the daily grind. Going to work in the mills in those days. And there were a lot of mills around that area. And then we've got these strange towers going off. So there's a thing here. I'm fairly certain these strange towers actually hold the building up. But they are at angles. There's one about there. So there's one here. And then there's one here. One here. And lines would be important to Lowry. He did like to draw things like factories because they were solid forms, three-dimensional forms. Right, I'm not gonna sketch anymore other than that. I might just put a little bit of this bridge in, just to remind myself that this bridge has angles to it. And the same on this side. So it all goes to a central point. Okay. Now Lowry would he'd buy canvases that he made up himself, cotton canvases, and he would use a primer, like this sort of primer, gesso primer. He would use a gesso and he would rub it in with his fingers to get circular motions, to get texture. We're not going to do that. We don't need to do that in this day and age. We can get texture with paint quite easily. So I'm just going to start mixing paint and putting paint on. And I'm going to remind myself of a Lowry painting or two by just having a look on the laptop here. One of Lowry's Going to the Match. So this is the old Manchester City Stadium in the good old days, and he's got the people. You see how he leans them in towards the doorways. We're going to pinch a little bit of that, but not too much. We don't want too much Lowry, but in his style. The sky is very basic, it's worked together, but I want to get a little bit of colour into the sky myself. So let's start mixing. This is zinc white. Zinc white is what Lowry used a lot of. But recently they've discovered that he also used different types, China white and titanium white. We've got his basic colours here. I've got this little vermilion. Don't need much of it. A little bit of ivory black. A bit oily, my ivory black. And primary blue should have been Prussian blue. I have got some somewhere, but I don't like Prussian blue. A number 12 flat for this. Picking up the white, no oil in it. Put the tiniest bit of blue into that. Put a tiny bit of black into that as well. Clean the brush off. Put some more white into the palette now. Don't really want them to mix in that much. Just pick the white up. We like a bit of texture. Lowry liked a bit of texture, put it like that. A tiny bit of red into there. That back into the panel. We're putting a little bit of evening colour into this sky, just a little bit of evening colour. It's a very Manchester day, very mixed weather. A little bit over there, tiny bit over there, just to balance it up. Clean the brush off again. Just dabble this on a little bit. I'm putting this on not too thick because I want to see the charcoal lines a fair bit. A little bit more white. I'm going to use a bit of titanium white at the bottom there. This zinc white is slightly yellowy, always slightly yellowy. It's an oxide of zinc. They used to use zinc plates, put water on, leave it for a few days and it would oxidise. And they would flake the oxidised zinc off the plates. So it was either called zinc white or flake white. But it would always have that sort of yellowy. I'm going to leave that texture in there. Not very keen on this. We'll put the stadium in now. I'll put the windows in first because I know that they are windows. So I've got this blue instead of his Prussian blue, this primary. Put that into those windows there. It's all quite blue, isn't it? Pick some more white up. It goes quite dark over here. Yeah, it's dark here. Put a bit of direction in as well. A bit of paler colour. Okay. Some darker colour here and there. Got the wrong brush for this. This is a round number 5. So I've just picked that up because I realised that I'm just using the wrong brush for what I want here. So a little bit more ivory black. Dab it in because I don't want it too dark. Okay. Lowry liked to scratch at things. I'm using the brush to do it, but he used his fingers a lot. He scratched at his work. So I'm not going to use my fingernails. He used his fingernails. But he would put windows in like this. Work onto the paint in that way. I'm using a matchstick to do it at the moment. Okay, back to the black. Black there. Grey there. So this window here, just put that brush down a minute, use a bit of white. Just mix a bit of white into that pale blue that I've got there. Put the matchstick into the black paint there. Now we've got several black archways in here. The domes of the roof. Difficult shape for stadium. Right, I've got to get this black edge in there. So we got here, it's like another little building on here. Right, now the front of the stadium is quite grey, quite a bluey grey. So just mix some of that. got two colours on the brush. Got blue, grey and some white. I'm just running them into each other. And then there's a tower here. Tower of windows, I think that is. Back to the blue grey. Clean matchstick. That's paler blue, and there's sort of a mid colour here. And it goes pale again. Need some black on there. Okay. And then this is dark down here. Got these towers that they built. One's here, like big corkscrews. And one's here. I'll come back to the detail on this. But that's where the towers will be. And we've got a shadow down in here. Okay, time to stop for a moment and take stock. So I've gone back to using my charcoal pencil. What I'm going to do is make sure I've got the bridge correct. I haven't here. So the actual parapet is higher than I've put it. Higher up altogether. That's the parapet this side. So the bar this side is up here. Yeah, quite a way out. And I'm going to put in some of the bars here, going away from me. That will do, that's enough. This one needs to go in. Because I want to put the background in. So this is the Manchester Ship Canal with its dockside, and I want to start showing some of that. That goes there. So these are absolutely opposite each other. That's correct there. This one should be there. And then here. There. Although Lowry did what would be called naive painting, his geometry was always very correct, a little bit over-correct for my liking. Okay, so that's the bare bones. Mix a bit of colour. I've got 3 dirty brushes here anyway, so this is the little round that I had. Round number 5. I think we'll put blue into this black. Just lighten it slightly. So let's try this blue. So here's the dock side here. I think that's the sort of bluey grey that I want there. I think that's the canal edge. And it seems to go darker as it gets further away. I'm just going to scratch it in. Yeah, scratch that in there like that. So I can still tell where the boxes are. I can still see everything. I might go a little darker at the bottom here. If it comes towards me. And a little bit of black back here. Righto, that's that side. And then this side is quite dark. Quite dark down to this level for some reason. Don't know what that is. Quite dark in this middle section. And it's very dark there for some reason. I don't know what this is about. Just the way the sky is acting on the water, I think. I'll bring some blue in. Just working it right into the pores of the canvas. Don't really want too much texture in this. Some light patches, that's reflection on the water, maybe. And then the walls, right the way along, the walls are a similar grey. So let me find some white. Let's mix up this grey. Got some blue in it. A bit more blue than that in it. It's darker. Darker. Blue up. Just following the line of that wall. That's the fence. Almost the same grey in the background there. And then this side it's very slightly lighter. And this side you can see the downstrokes in the wall. I'm putting them in first. Nice bits of texture there. And then it's dark here. Dark distance there. Dark shadow across there. Very dark in here. Need a bit more black. Some blackness here. Let's pick the black up into those. Okay. There's stuff happening on the dock side. The dock is dark at the top. There's black shadow here. All sorts of things going on down there. There's my trusty matchstick. Just need to put a bit of black in there. Yep. Makes a little bit more grey up. These are all sort of small buildings and things. Some are pale, some are dark. Okay. Staying with that at the moment there. So I'm just going to put a bit of black in the sky now. When it came to interpretation of this sort, I don't think Lowry was particularly very good at this sort of thing. And he did very clumsy attempts to darken the sky. And I think that's how he came to start using his fingers. So I'm not going to use my fingers, I'm going to use a little bit of cloth, but in the same sort of way. So he would probably get a bit mad. I think that doesn't look like sky. And then when you scumble it about with your finger, then it suddenly does. It looks like those clouds that come in off the sea. And so we'll have a little bit here. Come on, Larry, help me out here. That's it. Just that bit of dark, stormy look there. And it frames the picture as well. Okay. It's the evening match, evening sunset, caught up in the sky. Yeah, I think that's okay, I think that's fine. The stadium is held up by rods and hawsers, and the hawsers hold the roof up. So it's lifted up into the air, really. I'm just going to use my charcoal pencil to put the marks back in here. There's one. One here. This one is on the top of that tower, isn't it? Yes. Okay, and there's one here. So we'll start with those four. Let me just wipe the charcoal pencil. Need a small brush. This is a number 4 flat, this brush. And what I'm going to do is take this Stanley knife and I'm going to cut the brush square. So I just squared off the brush a little bit. Let's just see how the first one comes out. Alright, it's just too thick. It's going to have to come off. I'm going to use this to take it off. Scrape it down, wipe it off. Get my zinc white. Put the sky back. Okay, bit of an epic fail, that one. I've got a little round number 1. Couldn't get any smaller, really. So I'll dabble that into this black. Yes, that's me dabbling. That's more like it. What I just did then was I grabbed this brush. A lot of artists have a special stick that they use to keep their arm steady, and I realised I'm sitting in an odd position, so I couldn't really sort of steady myself. I'm just going to do the same thing again, just to run a straight line up. The one there. Then one back here. Comes from the front. Okay. Now I'm just going to use this black that's on the brush. Put a nice black line on here. Lowry liked to outline in black, so we'll stick with what he did. And then these have got, I'm just going to put this brush on one side a minute, find myself a matchstick. These have actually got hawsers, steel hawsers, coming down from them. Okay, back to my black brush. So there's one here. There's one sort of there. I'm going to start putting in more of the black lining. to get more of a Lowry effect. One at the edge of the building here. One here. One over here. And then we've got a structure that comes out here. Just dabble my matchstick in the paint. Don't think I'll put any more on that. I might use this here. No, that'll be wrong. Just to get the shadows. Don't care for that very much. And the shadows go all the way around the building. And then there's another building there. Okay. And then we've got these odd little towers here. While I've got this black on. It's dark at the top. So that's sort of coming on. Now I've got a bit of strange detail at the top of this wall. This wall has got some dark marks in. And so is this wall here. Got dark marks here. Some sort of staging on the wall. And then this is dark here. We've got a light blue area here. And then it's dark around it. So I've got a dark brush there. Just lighten that up slightly. That's better. A little bit of white on the towers. These towers go the other way and they're a bit darker, so I won't touch those with that brush. There's a white spot up here, up on the building. Got some pale blue. Buildings in the background. Where's my matchstick gone? Let's have a look at this walkway. This walkway here is quite damp. Go in the direction of the walkway. We're dark under the wall. And white, I'll pick up some of the blue, the greyish blue that I've got. Okay. Just push that darker blue up to the top there. And go back to the white. Getting paler as it goes along. Just goes into the distance like that. This side slightly pale. Just put that piece of the wall on, and then really goes quite pale, quite white as the wall goes along. In fact, I'll go down to a smaller brush. Get hold of some more white. Just leave it like that for a minute. Big brush again. The centre has got a little bit of red in it. Bit of white. So we can just go across and get that centre. It's almost like a shadow that goes off to nothing. That's better. Goes off to almost nothing there, so we'll get hold of some white. Just dabble that in. And then I can make that whole end pale, I think. And then we've got these sort of reflections. I'll put them on roughly with this little flat brush. And then turn the brush the other way. So I'm using the sides of the brush. And you can sort of see what's happening here if you scrub away at it side to side like that. You're getting that sort of wet reflection. Right, I think that's okay for that side. Just lighten a bit of this wall up. And we'll do the same for this side. Dark edge under the wall, put some white back in there. Just a little bit of cloth. The next thing is to get these things right between the towers. So which brush shall I choose for this? Just mix up this grey, bluish grey. Just got to make these towers look straighter. And put a bit of depth and shadow into there. Just use the brush the other way on. Yeah, I think that's how the shadow goes there. Use a shadow here and there. Okay. Now this is all shadow here. And then it's dark all the way along, right up to the tower and beyond. And then this tower here has got shadow in the centre and at the edge. I'm going to see if I can get away with just using this big brush with dark paint on. I think it might work. And then this tower is dark in the centre. Just need a small brush. And that sort of runs out to this dark building here. While I've got some grey on a small brush, I've noticed a good old factory chimney. There aren't many left in that part of the world, but there is one here. Good old Lowry-style factory chimney. And there's something on here on top of this building. Okay. And there's another chimney right out in the distance here. Right, the next thing I'm going to do is deal with the figures on the bridge. Now the bridge is quite wide. We want them to start down here and leave the front part of the bridge empty because people are rushing towards the stadium. So we'll start with some of the far distant figures, and to do that I'm going to have to go to the smallest possible brush. Get some black ready. And for the first time a bit of yellow ochre, I think. Now Lowry had a trick with his paintings, like going to the match and going to work. He leaned the figures forward at the waist to make it appear that they're hurrying. So we will use some of that as we get nearer. But for the moment, I'm just going to put in some distant figures. And people on the dock side there. They don't look like people yet, they will. And slightly nearer. And here and there I'll dab in a little touch of this yellow ochre. Maybe a bit of ochre in the hair. Maybe a little bit on the coat. Have a child here, perhaps, somebody smaller. Got a rucksack on. And give them a bit of yellow hair. We don't have to worry too much about these figures because they're going to overlay each other. And what we'll do is outline some of them when they're overlaid. Just picked another brush up. This is a sable. Long-haired sable, so I couldn't work the black paint properly. So I've got this sable, which is a bit better. You've got to think about the way people walk, the movement. So I have somebody here leaning slightly forward. Legs on the move. Gone a bit quiet concentrating. You have to think about figures. You've got to think about your whole landscape, how the figure is going to fit. And each figure has to have movement and purpose as well. So we're going to keep coming forward until we're at this sort of space here. And the figures have got bigger and closer to you. And we're actually looking slightly down on these figures as well. We're slightly above them here, looking down. So they'll all have similar sort of head heights coming along the bridge. So we'll have somebody with a head here maybe, going to figures in the distance. Just going to put a few more people, little figures down on the key side here. Little groups of people. All going to the match. Just pick up a bit of light grey here and give these figures a bit of reflection. Just to show that we've got a bit of a rainy day. Rainy day in Manchester. More figures a little bit closer now. So we'll put a bit of space in and we'll have somebody here. Back of head there. We'll do something that Lowry used to do. He used to put big feet on people. Just don't know what that was about. There's a man leaning forward more, so his one leg comes out this way. Something really peculiar there. I have to paint that out. Just find a bit of grey. So we'll need some more people here, but I'll bring them a little bit closer, I think. A bit of grey. Have some people bent over a little bit. Use a bit of grey here. So we have a man here, man in a long coat. I think I'll come to about there, so I may put one person here and one person here now, just to complete the sort of design of the picture. Now Lowry didn't often put shadows on. But it's a rainy day, the bridge is wet. So I'm sure he would have shown that in some way or other. There's a bit of blue in that. It grounds the figures a little bit better as well. So we'll have somebody bending here slightly. It's a dark figure. Just put a little bit of light in there. Perhaps need a bit more black on that figure actually. We want just one more figure here. Yeah, we'll have a guy with his arm out. Mess this figure up. Don't know quite what I've done there. Okay, let's look at him again. So he's got his weight down on that leg, this leg's in the air. And getting the change out of his pocket ready for when he gets to the turnstile. Right, I'm just going to stop at that point with the figures. Let's go over to this bridge here. Part of the parapet. That's white to there, and then this side is white on here. Dirty white this side. So the next thing is to get this bridge correct, to get all this part of the parapet right. I've still got some dark grey on this brush, might be a bit too dark. This is the bottom of the river wall. Okay, and this river wall has got lines on it going up, so it goes round in a slight arc, a circle. Okay, so that's that. On this side I can start putting the whites or the pale blues in for the parapet of the bridge. Just put a little bit of colour in here and there to make it look as though there's movement forward. And now got to look at the bridge. So This bridge is white, but it's in the evening sun, so it's got a slightly bluiness about it. Still giving the idea of the bridge going away from us towards the stadium. Lowry would have never seen this stadium, of course. This is the Etihad, Manchester City, as it is now. Lowry was a keen football supporter, keen Manchester City supporter, but of course old stadium. Did you see that happen? Six-inch ruler. Get yourself one. Very handy. There's another line along this bridge. Shall I put it in? Yes, maybe. There's a line that goes along there. Now I'm going over to the other side. This comes out quite a bit lighter on the top here, on that side. And then it's quite blue on the uprights. It's going down to the paint underneath. Right, the river wall. Quite dark at the water's edge. And the same here, it goes round a corner up there. Right, so we just do this at the same sort of height. On there, gives it direction. Slightly off-white. What is a dark grey? Line that roof slightly, and then look at any areas where we should be darker, and this is one. Okay. Okay, I'm going to say that's done. I could add more figures, and I could do more of the outline. But I think what we've captured there is an impersonation of the way Lowry might work. I think you probably recognise it. So we have a picture of going to the match. Etihad Stadium now, Manchester City, and it's in the style of Lowry, with the people in the style of Lowry and the impression in the style of Lowry. I hope you enjoyed this exercise with me, and don't forget to like, subscribe and comment, and I'll see you all next time. Bye everybody.